Hello, and welcome to another video. Today I want to quickly address a frustration that I'm sure many of you have, and I'm sure is known to pretty much all of us. So it is about this thing that keeps happening where you play your game, you think, shit, but I'm losing again. I'm doing like the right stuff. I'm doing nothing wrong, or maybe I'm doing wrong, but I'm like trying to play properly, but then I'm losing. So what gives, right? What's the issue here? So the issue here can be summed up in kind of a few points. So for example, a point can be that trying to win, right, is bad. Because trying to win is not reliable. Because trying to win means that you need to make plays which are going to bring you a high chance of winning one single game, but not as high of a chance of winning, say, like 60 out of 100 or 600 out of 1,000 or 6,000 out of 10,000 or something, you know? So you're just trying to win that one specific game. And in that case, so let's take top lane as an example because we usually don't. In that case, okay, yeah, maybe you just like walking to your team and just like full on team fighting. Maybe that will win you the game. Maybe it will. Is it the right play? Who knows? But let's just say that it's not the correct play, right? Or at least we don't think it's the correct play. But we can do it. Is there really a point in doing it? So a lot of people here will tell you straight up like, no, you shouldn't do it. You should play consistent. You should try your best to do this and that. I'll be honest with you. If you play, say, 100 games per season, playing consistent isn't going to do anything for you. It's doing nothing for you. Nothing. You're unlikely to climb anyway because you don't play enough to improve and you don't play enough to climb even because it takes a lot of games to climb in this game. That's why I'm not trying to climb right now because I have 0 time. But when I have more time again, then I'll try to climb again. So the issue is that if you don't have the time to play, if you don't have the time to play, like say, at least like 2 or 3 games a day, then it's going to be pretty difficult, right? And then if you try to play consistent, then okay, you went 60 out of 100, but that only means that you went up 20 wins compared to losses, right? And that means that you gain, let's say, around 300 LP in total in the season, and that means you didn't even go from gold 4 to plat 4. You went from like gold 4 to gold 1 maybe. And that's like a good season also for you. So in these cases, playing consistent isn't really going to do that much for you. So it's honestly fine even if you play inconsistently because it's more likely to win you games in the short term as long as you do it pretty decently. So that can be an option. But for most of you who do play at least like 2-3 games per day, playing consistent is usually going to be the way. So on the topic of playing consistent, I'm going to say that you might need to play wrong to win more, right? So wrong might make you win. But if you play right, then what happens is over time, you will get rewarded with wins, right? So either way you can win. It's just that do you want to win right now or do you want to win overall over your whole time playing League? It's just an investment in the future pretty much. It's up to you if you want to be higher elo today or you want to be much higher elo in like a year or whatever. So I will say, however, that a lot of you will think that, yeah, I play correctly, but I don't win games anyway. Well, there are 2 things here. First of all, playing correctly is relative to what your enemies do. So if your enemies are giving you a chance to just kill them level 2, then you might think, well, but Chovy, he last hits the minions and then he bases. But you see, the enemy is dying. The enemy is literally throwing themselves at you to die. So in that scenario, just take the free kill and move on. There's no reason for you to just tunnel vision on what Chovy does. And Doran, and I love Doran, man. I love Doran. And Gumayushi. I love Gumayushi. And Keria. They're so cool. They're so cool. But no, man. Like, their game is different. Because the thing is, their enemies have a lot less openings than your enemies. It's very different to hunt a polar bear and to hunt a, I don't know, a rabbit or something. I think that's pretty different, right? That's not even the best example. Maybe the best example would be to hunt like a snail. I don't know. What can a snail do? You see it, you just get it. So yeah. That's kind of like the fucking iron players that just do nothing, basically. You just have to not lose to yourself. So the way of thinking about these things is to assign a relative value to each play in terms of output and input. So let's say reward and odds of success, and then we can sprinkle in a little bit of skill requirement from you. So I'm not going to drag this video too long, so I'm trying to think of a way to explain this as quickly as possible. Okay, let's say something like, let's say that plays have a value of X out of 100, so some number out of 100. So let's say that a really consistent play, like something like just farming your, I don't know, just farming your minions has a value of like 30 out of 100, or farming your jungle camps. And then let's say that you just being like AFK and just collecting gold by passive income has like a value of 10 or something, right? And let's say that you like 1v5 pentakilling enemy team has like a value of 100, right? And then let's say that there's like a 70 value of you doing some like pretty consistent, like some, I don't know, some good play, whatever. Okay, and I think this is enough. So then, okay, let's determine the odds. Okay, so if we're like a pretty decent player, then farming the minions is going to be like pretty much like 95% odds, right? Pretty good. Us getting like AFK income is like 100%, pretty good. And then us 1v5 pentakilling enemy team, maybe like 1%, if we're lucky. And then us doing some like good play and getting pretty high value is maybe, I don't know, like 20%, let's say. And let's say that there's pretty decent value play, but it's like pretty high odds, right? So here you would kind of turn into the gambler that you already are, since you press Q up in solo queue, and everyone knows that pressing Q up in solo queue is worse than pressing the trigger on a gun in Russian roulette. But that point aside, our love for gambling can wait for now. So if we calculate relative values now, you can use different ways to calculate this. But for example, if we say that, okay, so what is the end result of like these plays, right? That's like one way to look at it. You can say like, okay, so if I multiply this, what will I get? Like 1, and then here, I don't even know what the fuck you get here, like 14. And then here I get probably 40, I don't know, maybe. And then here I get something like 10. And then here I get something like, let's say 28. I don't know. And then we can see, okay, so pretty interesting, right? A pretty interesting little bit of data where we determined that farming our minions is pretty good. And we determined that being like really consistent is like really good, right? Like this was really good. And then like farming our minions was like pretty decent. And then doing some like pretty inconsistent but high value play in the long term was not that valuable. And then like being AFK was less valuable than that, so good on us. And then going for like a 1v5 pentakill montage machine when we're fed is even less valuable because it only loses those games. So pretty interesting, right? Obviously these values have to be adjusted because there's no way that the play like there's no way that the play that's only a 70 value, where that would maybe be something like, I don't know, doing a good gank and getting Rift Herald and placing the bot lane, like the tower, like, or well, man, I can't speak. Placing the Herald like bot lane or something would be this low, right? Like this play, something like killing the enemy bot lane, placing Herald and whatever, would probably be a value of something like 80. And then the odds of it working would also be at least 50, right? And with that, it would be a pretty good play. And this is like one way to evaluate it. You can also come up with your own equations, or you can weigh the stuff differently, or you can say that, well, the odds of success are worth less to me, or the value that I get back is like worth less to me, and then you can just determine that. And for example, if you play for really high win rates in few games, then you're probably going to want plays that are the highest odds of success at like the highest margins, but you don't want the really high odds of success. You want the really high margins because you can outplay it, right? Like if this is actually a 20% play, then you being a much better player than the enemy team can make this say like a 50% play, right? And then that means that a play that's like 80 out of 100, maybe before it was like a 40% play, but you actually make it like 80, you know? And because you make it like this is why Smurfs end up playing like really differently in your elo compared to their own, because they're much better and they can afford to do this. But the thing is, if they play the same way as in their main elo, they won't win as much as if they do this, because as you can see, the value of these plays is just much higher, right? So you're getting an end result that's a higher value play. But this only thing this really does is it makes you climb a bit faster and it gives you a higher win rate. But at the end of the day, this isn't going to be how you're going to be playing in high elo. And with that, unless you're going to play mostly for win rate accounts, it's pretty pointless. And I think that wraps up my points pretty well. As a bonus tip today, I think I'll start doing bonus tips on some videos. I'll say that if you're, for example, working for a long time and then you come home, I recommend that you head to bed earlier instead and you wake up and you play at that time, because it will help you improve your gameplay a lot more than if you come home from work tired and then you play. And on the topic of lifestyle, I'll also say that stuff like meditation, diet, whatever, it helps a lot with stuff like brain fog, focus, motivation, mood, and so on. And all of these things heavily affect your play. So that wraps up today's video. If you liked it, then like and subscribe. If you didn't, comment why. If you have an idea for a video, or I don't know, like the video or something, you can also comment. And I'll see you next time. Peace.